Hey everyone, how's everybody doing this fine Saturday morning? I got a couple email requests on my alone video on how to go about practicing being alone. I think they wanted to know. It's interesting that I'm glad that people are emailing me to ask questions that they feel like they need to get answered. And that's great because it is hard for people to be alone. It is. It's hard. But I think what it is for me and how I handled it, I've always done things alone. Yeah, I've done things with friends and stuff like that. But I think the key thing is people need to shift from being in competition with their friends, family, or partners, wife or husband, or in competition with even their dog. They need to be in competition. You need to be in competition with yourself. And that's what I've always said. I'm in competition to make me the best person ever. I don't need to be in competition with a friend or a lover or a dog. I don't need to be in competition with them because, I need to make me the best person. And so, the way I started doing it is, I just did things alone. And in my 20s, how I started doing it is I'd go to lunch alone. And I would have a newspaper. Back then, read the newspaper. You didn't have a phone you could look at. Cell phones were just starting to come out, and they were huge. They were this big, and they came in a big, huge battery pack and everything. So it wasn't like you could scroll on your phone, and it was before the internet, basically. And, I'd take and read the newspaper. And I would go to lunch. I was working up in Central Orange County at the time, and that's what I would do. I would just go to lunch. Some days I would just pack my lunch and eat in the break room, but a lot of times I'd go out because I needed to get out. For one, I was already pretty much a secure person. I knew who I am. I love myself enough. And I think the whole thing is I was just practicing, and that's just the way I would do it. The security was, I wasn't really alone. I was with my newspaper. I know that sounds funny, but that's what you have to do. And I think another thing too is go to a movie alone. Not necessarily on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, because a lot of people are affected by society, like I've talked about before. They care what society thinks. And that's one of the key things that you need to pull out of there and not care what other people think. You're doing this for personal growth. You're doing this because you want to do it. And do I care about what those strangers think of me sitting there alone reading this newspaper? No. And that will actually create more confidence for yourself because you're able to do it alone. And then what I did, I would take the newspaper and I'd just go there and sit and eat my lunch alone and not worry about it. And I did have a couple people that wanted to come up and ask if they could sit with me and that kind of thing. And I just said, no, I'm in training is what I would tell them. That's what I tell people when I'm out working a dog or something. Can I pet your dog? No, they're in training. So, and it's not that I'm trying to be rude, but, I think a lot of it, the reason I get approached and I have all these experiences is because I've been told by 3 or 4 different massage therapists over the last 35 years that I have good energy. I'm giving out good energy. And people want that. And a lot of people don't have good energy. They don't have good energy because they don't feel good about themselves and they don't feel confident about themselves and they don't respect themselves and they're not happy. And that's the key thing. You have to be happy. You have to be secure with yourself. You have to respect yourself enough to want to be alone and not be so needy. And that's what a lot of people are. They're just needy. They have to have somebody around them. And I don't. I'm not a needy person. I don't need to, and I think that's a key thing, is you got to be confident that it's okay to be alone and not care about what society, and this is where I go back to society. Society rules a lot of people. You know, you got to drive a fancy car. You got to live in a nice neighborhood. You've got to have a beautiful home. You've got to have all this stuff, and that's materialistic things, and materialistic things are not going to make you feel any better. It's just going to make you feel better that other people think that you're successful. And that's the key thing with me. I don't need to drive a big fancy car. I'm successful for Tom's standards and what Tom wants. And I guess that's a lot of people, you know, people that aren't confident and not respect themselves. They think that I'm very arrogant and cocky, and I'm not. I'm just confident on who Tom is. And I think that's a key thing too, when you're trying to be alone and be more alone with being okay with it. Me being alone is, I'm not lonely. I'm not lonely at all. I'm not a lonely kind of person. I don't get lonely because I like myself and I like the company of Tom. And I think that's the key thing, is people don't like the company of themselves. That's why they have to hang out with all these people. And that's fine. But for me, I look at it as, you're not a whole person if you're not confident about being alone. You're not, because you're pulling something that somebody else has, just like the energy thing with me, with people that approach me. And, you know, I've got that energy that they want. And unfortunately, you can't get that energy by hanging out with those people. You've got to want to do it. And that's my key thing with people, is you got to want to be alone. And it doesn't mean that you're I hear people, you're just a loner. No, I'm not a loner. I'm not a loner, because I do like to be around people. But I don't like to be around people all the time. And the thing about it is, for me, when I get together with my friends, I have a lot of friends that know each other that aren't friends with one another. And I notice that with people, they get all their friends together to just be with all of them, and it's not personable. It's not. And for me, I like to be with my friends one-on-one, because it's special to me. I look forward to that kind of thing. And of course, churros, drinking water again. Dude. Anyway, so I think that's a big thing, and I think that's why people can't be alone, because they have to be with somebody, something they're lacking. And so it's just like, for me, I like to hang out with people that are smarter than me, because I like to learn things. And the whole thing is that's why I like to, if I'm going to hang out with somebody, I want them to be a little bit smarter so I can learn. Because when you're learning something every day, it stimulates your mind. And that's more personal growth. It's not like I'm not going to hang out with not smart people or stupid people. It's not that. It's that's what I choose to hang out around. And it's not that I'm not going to learn something from the people that aren't smarter than me. I will, but I just choose because I want to learn more positive things, and I'm not influenced by people. Yes, am I not going to learn something from just the average Joe? Yes, of course I will. I could probably learn a lot. I think you can learn a lot from a lot of people that come into your life, but I don't choose to do that. I mean, it's not like I'm not be friends with somebody because they're not smarter than me. I mean, that's not the point, you know. I think compatibility with a lot of friends. But my point being, going back to the whole thing, we're on our way to Disneyland and we end up at Knott's Berry Farm because Tom's not talking on the subject, or not telling the right directions. Anyway, so I digress at this point. But the thing about it is people, if you want to, start being alone and being around your own company, you need to have personal growth and you need to feel better about yourself to be alone, and not be so concerned about hanging out with people, not being so concerned about what other people think about if you're being alone and you're spending time alone. I think that's a key thing with people, is you need to work on yourself, and you've got to respect yourself enough to do that. You've got to love yourself, and you've got to be confident and happy. You got to be a happy person, because there are a lot of unhappy people that are alone, and they're actually the ones that are lonely. I'm not lonely. I'm not lonely at all. I have, I talk to my friends on a daily basis, a lot of my friends on sometimes a daily basis, and, and sometimes I don't talk to them for a week. But when I talk to them again 2 weeks later, it's like we just talked yesterday. So that is the key thing, and I think the 3 key things you can do is go to lunch by yourself. And if you don't feel confident, take a book. And that'll build your confidence. And then slowly pull the book away when you go to lunch and just go and eat your dinner or lunch or whatever you're doing. And you'll slowly build the confidence to being okay with being alone. But I think you also need to work on being happy. You need to be confident that you're okay with it. You need to be respectful of yourself. And those all go into the whole thing of being okay with being alone. So I hope this answered the questions that I had in the emails. I don't have the emails in front of me. I just read them and thought, okay, I'll just come on and do a video, and this is what I would work on doing. I'd just start doing things alone and not being so concerned about society and what you think they think. Because in reality, most people are not really thinking, well, why is that person alone? Unless it's on like a Friday night or Saturday night. And, that's when people go out and party and go out to dinner, and they usually go out with somebody that they want to go out with. So I would practice on going to lunch Monday through Thursday, go to dinner Monday through Thursday alone, and go to a movie alone. I've never been to a movie alone because I don't like going to movies to begin with. So if I go to a movie, it's usually because the other person wants to go see the movie, and I'm just kind of like, following along. But I'm not a big movie goer. I just don't do that. So I don't have to go alone doing that. But I just start doing things alone and do them in a safe way. Safeway. That's a grocery store, I think. But anyway, do it in a safe manner. Of going on a little hike, or going for a walk in your neighborhood alone would help too. And you don't have to have your earbuds in. You don't have to have that. If you want, just go for a walk and enjoy nature and see what is out there. And I think you'll really like it. I think you'll really enjoy it. So that's my advice, and you can take my advice and do as you please. And if you do like my content, subscribe, like the video. That's what's going to get it out there. Is if you like the video, that's the easiest thing you can do, and it's free to get my videos out there and to have my channel grow more. So anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful Saturday, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.